Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So we've seen a ton of different predictions regarding the 2022 New York Jets, right? Some people think that this team could possibly make a playoff push. That would be absolutely incredible. Some people think that the Jets will finish as a bottom 5 team in football once again, right? Like that whole Brady Quinn thing where I think it was he had the Jets starting off the season 0-9. So the predictions are all over, but in this one, I wanted to ask the question, do you think that Joe Douglas has done enough to rebuild the New York Jets? This would be my answer. Are the Jets perfect? No. Are they a complete football team? No. But I think given the circumstances, looking at what Joe Douglas had this offseason, I think from a realistic perspective, he did everything that he could to rebuild this football team. I mean, he added major talent, addressed positions of need, went after some pretty big name free agents like Jordan Whitehead, DJ Reed, Laken Tomlinson, CJ Uzama. I mean, some of those guys they were in the cream of the crop of the free agency class at the respective positions, Not only was it just a couple of top end guys and that was it, no, they added depth. Right, we just mentioned CJ Uzama at tight end. We added Uzama, but we also came back and added Tyler Conklin as well. 2 upgrades over what this team had last season. We look at edge, completely decimated last season by injuries. Now we have Carl Lawson coming back. We have Vinny Curry coming back as well, but that wasn't enough. That wasn't good enough for Joe Douglas. He goes out and signs Jacob Martin from the Houston Texans and ends up drafting Michael Clemens out of Texas A&M later in the draft, right, as a middle round selection. Defensive line. Yeah, the team lost Foley Fatukasi to Jacksonville, signing him to that multi-year deal. But then they go out and they bring in Solomon Thomas, the former 3rd overall pick in the draft. Of course, he hasn't really lived up to the draft status so far, but still a solid addition nonetheless, right? Especially for the money that the Jets were able to land him at. Say what you want about Solomon, say what you want about all these top 5, former top 10 picks. They still have upside. They still have football left in the tank, and it gets you pumped up to kind of think about. Wide receivers, another position. Elijah Moore going into year 2, awesome. Corey Davis coming back from his season-ending injury, great. But they retained Braxton Berrios. I think that move is huge. I mean, he really picked up and showed a lot towards the back half of the back end of the season. As we all know, I mean, he was making plays. Mike LaFleur was drawing up plays for him, coming up clutch in numerous situations. Whether it's, 3rd and short or Zach Wilson just needing to get rid of the football, he would look for Berrios, find him, and Berrios wouldn't let him down. He'd come down with the reception, So I think being able to retain Berrios on a multi-year deal, a cheap multi-year deal, is it's huge. And then we come back and add Garrett Wilson as a top 10 pick in the draft, So all in all, I mean, we can go down the list here. This video could be 20 minutes long, talking about every single addition, right? Whether it's through free agency or the draft. But man, I when I look at this team last year, thinking about the Jets last year in June, completely different. And by the way, that was before the injuries. That was before Becton stuff. It was before Lawson stuff. Before May, Corey Davis. Right, Najee Dean Sherwood, Zach Wilson missed time, Elijah Moore missed time, Jamison Crowder missed time, everybody. I felt like everybody sustained some sort of injury last season, whether it was a big, significant one or a smaller one. Even before all of those injuries, I feel like the Jets today are in a much, much better situation than they were a year ago. And same can be said for the off the field stuff, game planning, preparation. Saleh having an entire season under his belt, right? Going up against divisional rivals, going home, away, night, day, facing adversity, starting a rookie quarterback, installing an offense for the first time. Mike LaFleur, first time calling plays. It was everybody's first rodeo. Jeff Ulbrich, yes, he did have a little time as an interim DC, but this is his defense here. Of course, it's Saleh's too, but I mean, Ulbricht's fingerprints are all over this thing. I mean, nobody has a perfect first season in anything, right? It's especially in the NFL. And when we look at a coaching staff that is doing everything for the first time, and then you throw on top of it all of the young players, then you throw on top of it some of the superstars on this team, were out for literal extended periods of time. Some of the veterans are missing time, so you can't really rely on those guys in practice and everything like that, in big critical situations in game. There was a lot of stuff going against the Jets last year. So for everyone to be heading into year 2, now the attention shifts to Joe Douglas. Hey, what can you do this offseason? What can you do to put this Jets team to really push them in the right direction? He added talent, depth, positions of need, adding core pieces, young core pieces, by the way, that I'm expecting to be here for 10 seasons. I don't think that's a stretch to say. Garrett Wilson, right? Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, Jermaine Johnson, Elijah Moore, AVT. I mean, the list goes on and on of, all the young players that have, franchise quality, franchise pillar quality, or potential rather. I mean, some of these guys, AVT looked like a seasoned pro last season. Rock solid. AVT is rock solid, man. He really is. And, a lot of people are expecting Elijah Moore to absolutely pop off this season, maybe a Pro Bowler, rack up tons of yards, tons of catches, tons of touchdowns as well. The future's bright for this Jets team. And in my opinion, going back to the start of this video, are the Jets perfect? No. Do they still have a couple problems here and there on the roster? Yes. Is youth still going to be an issue? Are guys going to, have a couple of hiccups or hit a couple speed bumps along the way this rookie season? Yes. It's just football. Things like that are going to happen, especially to a young team. But looking at where this team was 1 year ago, like 1 calendar year ago, we are in a much, much better situation. And I think when we really approach the question, did Joe Douglas do enough this offseason to rebuild the Jets team? I think from a realistic sense, the answer is yes. 3 first-round picks, a couple of middle-round picks, added tons of guys in free agency, and really checked off a ton of different boxes as far as, just NFL team wish lists. Did you add talent? Yes. Did you get better at your weakest positions? Yes. Did you add depth? Depth was another thing that really plagued the team last year. Some of the top guys go down. All of a sudden, I mean, if we had George Fant all over the field, Becton goes down, Fant steps up, looks great. If we had that type of production at edge, at safety, I think the season would have looked a lot different. At wide receiver at times as well. I really love the direction of this football team. And I think the answer is yes. Joe Douglas did do enough. Now, I will say this. Are we on the same level as teams like the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens? I think they did. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Deshaun Watson suspension. But there are a couple stacked teams in the AFC. Are the Jets in the upper echelon group with those projected division winners? I'm not sure. I'm probably going to say no, right? I think the Jets are still maybe a year away. We're still a superstar or 2 away from really knocking on the door to being a consistent competitor in the division. Okay, so it's a team game at the end of it. Not every you walk before you can run, and the Jets were in the gutter for a long, long time. The end of the Todd Bowles era, the Adam Gase era, as we all know, and then of course last season, so much turbulence, so much adversity, everything like that. Bottom 5 football team. Now is really the season. I have not been this excited for a Jet season in a long, long time. I really haven't. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think JD did enough to rebuild the Jets this offseason? I think it should be a really interesting discussion because it's just the projections are all over the map. Again, some people think extremely highly of this team. Zach Wilson could be the next Mahomes. And then we're seeing predictions where the Jets could maybe even draft a quarterback next year. They're all over the map, and it's just cool to see everybody's take. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and go Jets.